One Piece Chapter 1165, Reverberations, gives us the finale of the God Valley incident. Davy D. Zebec makes his final wish clear. Roger and Garp keep fighting Zebec while the Rocks Pirates members individually separate and leave the island, setting out on their own journeys. Finally, Garp and Roger go all out and take out Zebec with bated breath, ending the Rocks Pirates era and releasing shockwaves that affected the entire world. The chapter begins showing us what happened at the end of the last chapter, with Zebec begging for Garp and Roger to end his suffering with tears falling from his face. He has succumbed to the Domi reversal by Imu. Even though his face is full of sorrow, his actions say otherwise as he attacks Roger with his sword. His words, attitude, and expression tell different stories, says Roger. You see his sword ooze armament and conqueror's haki after clashing with Zebec, and that's when Garp jumps in with his hardened fist and punches Zebec in the face. He feels the effect and is pushed back a little bit, but he ultimately manages to send both of them flying to the rocks, after which we see the sky split in two, which of course was bound to happen with the three of the strongest characters ever clashing. And I'm really glad that Oda is showing us this fight in its totality and not just clashes here and clashes there and off-screen the rest. It's been one of the most anticipated moments in all of One Piece, and Oda realizes this, so he knew he couldn't skip this fight. But we go away from it for a while and see the reaction of the pirates and marines dealing with the aftermath of Zebec's fight with Garp and Roger. Shiki's rival Kyo has seen enough and decides it's time to leave the island, but in doing so he'll take Zebec's ship and abandon the Rock's crew. Shiki announces to everyone that this is the end of the Rock's pirates, so he's also probably leaving the island, and this is when it happens. We all knew that the mutiny would start at some point on God Valley, and the crew would leave one by one, leaving Zebec behind. But to finally see it happening in real time is really cool. On the other side, we see Garp telling his marine subordinates to grab every civilian on the island and have them leave on his ship. To the ones that say Garp was too compliant with the God Valley manhunt competition, here you go. Here's a small panel showing how Garp cares for the everyday civilians and actually did something to help them escape from this island. You then see Roger give his crew commands, telling them to stay put with Rayleigh and Shaki because he will be back. Garp shares this sentiment, saying he will also surely be back to lead his marines. They agree to team up to fight Domi Reverse Rocks, but Garp does it reluctantly. They try and get Zebec to wake up from his curse, but even after taking some of the hits, he's still the same. We see Ray and Shaki telling their crews what Roger was doing. Gloriosa sneaks in asking if there's a spot for her there. Looks like this is the moment when Gloriosa decides to roll in with Roger and his crew, and like Gloriosa, the other Rocks crew members are also looking for a way out. Big Mom says Kaido owes her for the rest of his life, finding him the devil food that he so desperately wanted, but Kaido says it was finders keepers and she lost. He vows to make a crew where violence rules above all, crew which will ultimately be the Beast Pirates. Big Mom though says he will never beat her one-on-one and vows to come and collect her debt one day, which as we know happened during the Wano arc, where she invaded Wano country and fought Kaido in a stalemate. In the next page, we see Whitebeard for the first time since his clash with Zebec split the Valley Mountain in two. We were all wondering what happened after their clash, but Whitebeard appears to be fine with no visible scars, and I don't really know how that happened. This may just be a case of plot convenience, because how did Whitebeard leave and not fight his captain to free him? Obviously Oda has planned for years to have Garp and Roger to be the one fight Zebec and take him down, so Whitebeard being in the same battlefield was an element he had to confront. And rather than him running away, Oda protects Whitebeard's image, if you will, by skipping over what happened after his clash with Zebec. But now in here we see a guy by the name of Apollo Graham, who looks a lot like Marco, and he tells Whitebeard how his crew is really falling apart. So Graham takes a shot and tries to team up with Whitebeard, since he has no ship to go back to. And of course Whitebeard just says to get out of his hair. So what I think happens is Whitebeard rolls in with Polo and his crew for a while, and eventually he starts his own crew and pretty much raises his son Marco like his own. In the next page, we get to see what Dragon's been up to. Dragon, after losing Shanks and Shamrock, is undoubtedly furious, and he hates the fact that the Marines were complicit in this evil manhunt, so he holds his Marine officer at gunpoint and tells his men to round up civilians to the ship, or else he will execute their leader. Dragon, being the man he is, makes what really should be his last act as a Marine, a sacrifice to save the innocent civilians that got caught in this affair. He thinks he couldn't save the babies, so he looks to atone in any way possible. We then see Imu demand Saturn that the island of God Valley is eradicated from the face of the earth, so it would look like it never existed. Now Imu is still in Zebec's body, I guess, via Domi reversal, but his physical form isn't there after this moment. The narrator then describes how classified the God Valley incident really is, and how registry of the event and population and fatalities were all erased from history. As Roger fights Zebec, he asks Garp if he knew about Imu existing, and even Garp is befuddled. He had no idea about it, of course, otherwise Garp wouldn't have been a part of this whole thing. Which is why Roger then asks him to quit the Navy and join his crew, to which Garp refuses, saying who will take care of the innocent if he becomes a carefree pirate. And this was always my take on Garp too. Too many people have said that Garp shouldn't be a Marine and be like his grandson Luffy or Ace, but that's a one-dimensional viewpoint. People assume pirates are good because their favorite character and the main character are, but most pirates are bad, and most Marines are actually good. So you just can't expect Garp to abandon his position because of a higher power he doesn't even know exists. I mean, that's just silly. But hey, what do I know? In the next page, Roger and Garp figure out how to attack Zebec where it actually hurts. Roger describes how his armament haki attack Devil Fruit users, and after coating it with Conqueror's haki, their attacks become even sharper, so it should penetrate Zebec's defense. Garp then says Zebec is also using Conqueror's coating, so it's kinda challenging, which is why they agree to hit him with an attack that uses all of their haki as a final attack to take Zebec out, disregarding what would happen to their stamina afterwards. If they miss, they're done for. But this is the risk that they take, and before that, they give Zebec a heartwarming goodbye. Nobody knows what happened to him and how he got possessed. There's one thing that's clear, and that is his agony and anguish. Roger uses God of Fire Ace, and Garp uses Infinity Explosion, destroying Zebec on the spot. And so his era ends, and with the end of Rocksteady Zebec, or Davy D. Zebec as he knows himself to be, there's a great shockwave that affects the entire One Piece world. Rox was a very ambitious man, and he did things that no other character in the One Piece world has ever done, at least to this point. Even though the world government does their damnedest to get rid of his legacy, his will live on forever through Blackbeard. His existence impacted Roger, Garp, Dragon, Luffy, Shanks. Every one of our favorite characters were influenced by this man and this event, God Valley event, directly or indirectly. I'm really excited to see what Oda has in store for us in the next chapters, because I wonder how this flashback will ultimately end, because it was originally supposed to be a Loki flashback, a Loki/Herald's flashback I should say, but obviously it went in a direction that far surpasses their capabilities. So now that he's dead, I wonder what will happen. Will we get to see Loki as he grows up to the point where Herald dies, or will we just time skip to that moment and get to actually see what happens? I don't know, but guys, that was the chapter. Did you like it? Did you not? Let me know your thoughts and feelings down on the comments below. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.